we still hear... We hear rumbling, we don't hear people over here anymore?
Oh, yes, you still hear footsteps. Although, now that the rumbling's kicked up, the rumbling and the footsteps are kind of merging into one sound. So it just sounds like a lot of movement around you right now. But there is the occasional, like, clang, clatter, thud kind of thing. Like, there's a lot going on, but you guys aren't visually seeing anything yet.
Well, we either gotta go in further, or we gotta leave.
Yep. What do we think?
Good
If
talk.
it's a spell, I could probably stop them.
If we get there in time.
If we go now.
Well, let's go look then. And Krak will scoop up the 2 hostages. And start squeezing their way through the passage.
Okie dokie. So that is squeezing, so that is a struggle for you. It counts as difficult terrain, so you are having to, like, squish down. So I'm going to say, if you're carrying 2 people and then squeezing, that's going to be very difficult for you. Because I want you to describe to me how you're carrying both these 2 people and then squeezing through a gap that small without accidentally crushing one or both of them.
They're both, like, still barely conscious, right?
Yeah, they're conscious, but they're defeated. Like, their bodies are taxed beyond, like, they're not doing anything.
So basically what I'm doing is I'm just gently, like, chucking them in front of me, squeezing and moving, picking them up and just...
Okay. You're tossing them.
I'm tossing them, yeah.
Okay.
That's good for their health and longevity.
Yep.
I mean, do we care about their longevity?
Not really. They're cultists.
I'm making an attempt, at least, to save them from what could be a cave collapsing on their heads. We don't actually know yet.
I mean, we've already got the information out of them. We don't really need them, right?
Well, we might be able to get more information out of them, or force the others to parlay.
So I'm going to move some tokens. You guys could describe to me what you're doing. Oh my goodness, there's a thing on the GM layer that's making this very difficult for me. But anyway, so you get to about here, you're tossing these guys forwards. And at this point, a person appears in the middle hallway. You can't toss these guys any further, and there is a... Let's see if I can get him on the mini-map for you guys to see.
By the way, I'm not moving my token because the place is crowded as fuck, but I'm assuming I'm trying to stay right behind Croc.
Yeah. Absolutely. If that's where you want to be. I don't necessarily mind where your tokens are on the map, but, like, if we call initiative, just explain to me where you were and what you were doing, and I will trust you to be honest with me.
Okay.
Right, but there's a guy here with a shield and a spear that's holding the central passageway. This guy is not dressed in, like, super obvious, like, culty regalia. Like, he doesn't have a mask on or anything like that. He looks like a town guard or something, and he's got, like, spear and shield out, and he's doing the full halt, who goes there? Like, you don't have permission to be here.
Does he say that?
Yeah. And he's not attacking you, like, he's not calling for other people and going, intruders, because he sees that you have 2 people here that you're tossing down the hallway and are alive, though beaten. So he's, like, a little bit, who the fuck are these people? Are they rescuing our friends? Are they hostile? Like, he's just confused, but he's not calling for backup or anything, he's just doing the halt, who goes there.
Yeah, Krog's just gonna say, is this rumbling thing, is this, are we in imminent danger?
He makes a very quick mental calculation that you can see come across his face, and gives you, like, a very curt, yes, you should exit the cave immediately.
Do I believe him?
Give me an insight check.
Could I get out of that as well?
Yeah,
Um,
you can.
as
Yes,
I'm
Luna.
as I'm flying over, I'm picking up Al's jacket, and I'm trying to bring it over to him.
Okay.
Oh shit! I completely forgot about that.
Yep.
Which is
What
very
is
in
that
character for
for?
Al and very in character for Luna to remember.
And
Okay. So Croc, you believe them. John, you don't.
Okay. Say then, how come you're not coming out with us? Or making any effort to leave?
He doesn't verbally respond. A look of like panic crosses his face because he genuinely does not have a reply for that. Like this isn't the smartest person in the world, and like he's obviously scared. He told a lie, and he's now expecting bad things to happen. And again, it's just one guy with a spear and a shield. He doesn't look like he could stop the lot of you. He is just desperately trying to.
Yeah, Crocker's just gonna like look back at John and be like, "That's a fucking good point." Look back at the guy and be like, "Yeah, move."
He is in a position where like he takes half a step backwards, his back literally hits the wall, and like you can see he's got his back up against the wall. He's not actually getting out of the way. He's scared, he wants to run away, and yet something is like keeping him in place. Something's like stopping him, and he kind of stammers out, and I can't do that. I can't let you pass.
I'm begging. I'm pissed off.
Worse things will happen if I let you pass.
worse things than you dying?
At this point, I think I'm dead either way. I'd rather die on my feet like a man than run away.
I'm not asking you to run away. I'm just asking you to move.
So, Al has dealt with a lot of fucking guards in his time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Am I getting the impression, like, I know it's demon, but like that this guy has orders from high above, and if he leaves, something bad will happen to someone he cares about? Or, like, you know what I'm talking about?
It could be that. It could be that he believes that if he lets you into the next few rooms, something worse will happen to him than you guys just killing him. So this could be a my immortal soul kind of thing. This could be a they have my family kind of thing. You don't know what kind of thing it is, but something bigger than just me being murdered is on his mind right now. And you can see he's afraid. Like he wants to run away. He wants to be convinced to step aside. But like he can't do it. He can't allow it. And like this is not like you've dealt with a lot of bad guys up to now. Bad guys look after themselves. You're not used to people acting selflessly in the face of danger and being bad guys. So this is a weird one.
John will pipe up and say, "Okay, how about this? We have your friends. Why don't you take us to your leader, and we can have an exchange and a conversation? They're alive. We need information. We don't want to hurt you."
Make me either a persuasion or deception check. Up to you which.
Deception.
We are awesome at this.
But it depends on your intent. So if you intend to hold to that, it's persuasion. If you're lying through your teeth, it's deception.
Interesting. We're gonna go poorly with persuasion on that.
And you can see he really wants to buy that. Well, you know what? I will give him the insight roll because his stats are, almost as bad as yours. So let's.
What?
Wow.
Rude.
Sorry, did I say that one out loud?
Imagine being on par with Town Guard.
Oh no, he okay.
Nat 20's the insight check.
No, but a good 16, like a solid. He stands his ground in a way like he'd had his spear up and his shield and was kind of trembling before. Now that you guys have actually started a discussion with him, he does this thing where he like takes a deep breath, and plants his spear. Now, the spear is now facing up, so it's not towards you guys. This is imminently less threatening, but he also puffs his chest and stands his ground. So he's taking a moment, he's like mentally regrouping, and then he starts addressing you, Croc, because you, like, despite John being the one that spoke, Croc, you are the big face of the group, and he can't really see past anyone else to know who he's talking to. He takes that deep breath and goes, I can't let you in. It's very important. This area is not disturbed. And if you're here, I think you might know why. This place is too dangerous for me to let you cross this threshold. Even if you have the best intentions in the world, there is a devil in this place. Minds can be manipulated. You might not even know what you're doing. I can't trust any of you. I'm sorry, I cannot let you pass, even if it means my life.
Wait. You're a good guy?
I think so.
Are you with
Wait.
Tiamat?
No.
What? How
Well,
are
then
you
let us
alive?
through.
But I just explained. For all I know, you've been manipulated by the devil. You could be possessed. I can't let you through.
What are your what are your intentions
Guard
with the
this
devil?
passage to keep it contained.
What are the orcs doing?
I'm a guard. I don't understand magic. It's just my job to stop people coming through. I
Who
don't
do you
know.
work for? The
I-
world ended.
Not all of it.
Yeah,
What?
all of it.
Wait, hold on. Real quick, before we get any farther. Do I believe him that he is intentionally trying to keep the devil sealed?
Yeah, you can. Well, what's your passive insight actually?
16.
Passive insight? Yeah, you believe him.
Okay.
Everything about this guy, including being willing to die, it would be a like if this was deception, this would be an amazing play. Like this would be 200 level IQ, and this guy doesn't like he's not equipped well enough to be making a play like that. Unless this is an illusion, which you know you can give a quick scan over him and you're not detecting any of the telltale signs of an illusion. This guy looks like a very low level, very low rank guard up against an entire group of adventurers standing his ground. There must be something really important to him keeping him standing here in this place.
But you let a bunch of orcs through?
From what I understand, the orcs are a means to an end, because as you said, the world ended and we don't have a lot of options for keeping this thing contained.
Crocker's gonna say, do you know anything about the white abashi? We do know what it's called. Luna, tell us what it's called, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
His eyes kind of go a little wide and he goes, what? A white abashi?
Aye. It came here, it started killing the orcs, we killed it!
Do you have a boss you can take us to?
Or could you ask him to, like, we'll stay here. Yeah, we won't, we're not going to push if you just bring him to us so that we can talk, or them just so that we can have a dialogue.
You give me you give me your word on your life. You will stay here if I fetch my leader.
Croc like squares their shoulders into like the side of the cave and goes, "Nobody's getting by me, and I'm not shifting."
And he looks down to the defeated Dragonclaw and cultist who, while beaten, are still conscious, and like directs a question to them: "Do you believe them?" And the cultist of the claw, the monk that you guys fought, looks up in like black eye very visibly forming on his face and gives this like annoyed half shrug. Like he really is he wants to be the last person to vouch for you guys, but he's not giving a no. Like he can't even do that. He's not even doing the nah fuck these guys. He's just kind of like I don't know.
They're cultists of Tiamat. They're bad guys. Why are you asking them? I'm so
General
confused.
L, the world might be more nuanced than we thought.
The guard grips his spear, it's still pointing upwards, gives it a moment of thought and goes, I will fetch my leader. And as for the cult of Tiamat, the teachings and method of the cult of Tiamat before Tiamat rose was intention to control dragons to rule the world. They wanted to use magical artifacts so they could manipulate dragons to their ends. Meaning that the people that now worship the cult of Tiamat are the ones trying to unseat dragons from the seat of power that they're in right now. They're trying to control them so they can shift the balance of power in the world. And you're not sure, speaking as the DM right now, you're not sure if this guy is just buying into cult of Tiamat propaganda, or if that's genuinely true, but the way he's selling it, he totally believes it.
Yeah.
Like, he is... Genuinely, this might be a lawful good character that is working for chaotic evil people and doesn't know it. You're just not sure, but like he is fully buying what he is selling right now.
How do we know that you're not controlled by the devil?
He rests his spear on the cave wall for a moment and like grasps at his collar, which is very tight to his body. So he has to undo a couple of clips on his is it jerkin, I think?
Yeah.
Or tunic, or whatever. And like he pulls down, and there is a piece of flesh on his neck that is tattooed with a certain symbol. And I say tattooed because half of it is scarring and some of it is markings. And he points to it and goes, we all have one of these. And they can't get into our minds if we have one of these. And trust me, these fucking hurt.
Wait, what? How? Is this... John will try to push past Kruok if he'll let him so he can inspect those markings.
Yeah, can I like land on Krok's shoulder or something? Because I don't think my character could see otherwise.
I'm sure you could land on Krok's shoulder, but Krok, are you going to let John pass, considering what you had just stated?
Krog will kind of like stop John and say, let him go get his guy first and then see if they'll let you have a look. I want to try and keep to what we said.
Yeah, sorry. And John will give like a respectful, like little half bow head nod thing to the guard. Like my curiosity overcame me.
Krog's like, to be honest, I kind of want you to have a look because I want to see if it's true. So, but you know, we'll see what they say. We'll see what they say.
If it's real, all of us being immune to mind control would be an amazing thing.
So, something about this guard watching, like, John try to come forward and Krok stopping him emboldens him. He steps over the cultist, over the dragon claw, and he gets closer to you, which is a sign of trust by him. And he goes, I will get my master, but first, as you held to your word and stopped your companion coming through, he like holds open his jerkin again so you can inspect the mark.
Yeah, Krog kind of like let John peek under their arm so that John can see it.
He's like thinking as he's showing it to you, like it's visible on his face. A, because again, he's just a guard. He doesn't know everything. He only knows what he's told. And B, he doesn't know how much to tell you guys.
Yeah, for sure.
And he takes a deep breath. He looks up at Krok. He looks down at John. He looks to Luna, and this is his first time seeing Luna as she landed on Krok's shoulder. And that's not a normal sight for him. All of this is brand new. Like Krok is massive.
Yeah.
Luna is tiny. And then John just looks like a hobo that's traveling with these frankly magical people. But he points to the thing and he says, okay, it's not immunity to mind control. But we know, I believe, I'm not privy to it, but we know the true name of the devil bound in this cave. So we are immune to his specifically control. That's how we can stay here. That's how we're safe. That's why we guard this area. That's why most of the orcs stay outside. We've got a deal. We keep it contained. We siphon its power so it can't influence it on the world. And we are immune to its influence by holding these marks. This equilibrium keeps the devil sealed.
So the orcs have that?
No, some. The orcs inside the cave have it. The orcs outside the cave don't, but they receive boons that we give from siphoning the devil's power. I maybe shouldn't be telling you all this, but they receive boons for siphoning the devil's power to protect the front of the cave. Because otherwise we have nothing to barter with. We're doing our best to keep this thing away, but since the fall, we haven't had much to work with.
Not really understanding your logic. If you let a bunch of orcs in that don't have this special thingy to protect them, but you won't let us in, who are much stronger than the orcs.
No, the orcs in the cave have the mark. The orcs outside the cave that guard the entrance don't have the mark, but they're not allowed in the cave.
But we saw a bunch come in, didn't we? There was
I think
four
we saw
of them.
one or two made it in, and then we kind of killed the rest as they tried.
If 3 of them entered the cave, that is against our bargain, but they didn't come this way.
They were under duress. They were being harried by us as they turned on us after we defeated the devil.
Okay, this is genuinely above my pay grade.
Sure.
Again, you've promised to stay here. I will go get my leader, and then you can talk to him.
Was I able to?
Sorry, were you able to what?
As we were having that interaction, John was observing closely the mark. Was I able to glean anything off of that before he turns away?
Okay, so it's intricate as fuck. Like, whoever designed this pattern had to design a series of scars seared into flesh that are tattooed over and around. It is masterful work. Whoever designed this custom. And second to that, like, okay, so you know how scarred flesh is just a slightly different tone to normal flesh?
Yes.
There were ways that sometimes, like, there's not much light in here, but I believe one of you is carrying a torch, right?
Ow.
Right. So, very few times a little amount of light would hit this thing, which is how you're able to inspect it at all, so there must be light. And you'd see just like this orangey infernal glow that never appeared on the tattooed part and only appeared on the scarred part. And it's giving the impression that they have somehow taken devil magic and used it to ward themselves against devil magic.
Interesting.
Anyway, that's the point where he doesn't about face. And in fact, he left his spear back against the cave wall. Not particularly, because, like, not absent-mindedly. Like, when he moved forwards, you saw him, like, reach for the spear and then consider better of it. He's trying to be non-threatening. Like, he has a job. You've made an agreement, but he's trying to be non-threatening to you guys. So he... I just moved the wrong token. He moves back to here. And then he travels up the kind of northern path to in here. He approaches. You... You hear a clang, which assumedly is like something hitting his shield for how close it was, and then some very intense conversation, spoken just under register that you can hear the words, but loud enough that you can hear that they are being spoken. Because it's one of those like intense whispers where like it's too loud to not be detected.
Yeah.
Even with the rumbling, but too quiet for you to make out the exact words. And
while they're having that conversation, Croc is going to very quickly say to John, like, the guy mentioned that they're lacking in certain things to stay on top of controlling and siphoning this thing. You might be able to help.
It's possible.
Like, we might be able to make a good, agreement here that this could be what you need.
It very much could be.
Okay, so a man approaches down the hallway at this point in a fairly fine set of robes. Like, these would be noble court robes in yesteryears.
Mm-hmm.
But unfortunately, unlike normal noble court robes, they are like tattered around the bottom. So like they've been worn for ages, like, and they've got stitch marks in places. Like, these are robes that have been worn for far, far too long without being maintained or repaired. Like, there's dirt encrusted around the base. So this is someone that is carrying himself as if he's like from the old world.
Mm-hmm.
However, he's been out of the old world for a really, really long time, and now he approaches round the corner holding some kind of... Okay, he's got his hand out as if he's holding a glass orb,
Mm-hmm.
and in some lights, there is nothing in his hand. It's just empty space. And in some lights, you just catch, like, the edge of... It looks like a glass orb, except you can't always see it. Like, it's almost like he's carrying something ethereal. And in his other hand, he has a dagger out. A very, like... ceremonial kind of, like, wavy dagger with runes down the side. And he's looking... let's just say worried at the appearance of you.
Yeah.
And he stands there looking at you guys. He turns his hand that the orb is in, like, just to the right, so he's kind of holding it parallel to his chest, and then the rumbling in the cave just kind of simmers down and stops. And he looks at you, Kruark, and says, "So, I am told I am to have a conversation."
Right. So I'm not really the brains or whatnot, but basically we and a white Abashi murdered a bunch of orcs outside, including the chieftain. I believe with the intention of freeing the devil that's here.
And he gets this look on his face, like, you say including the chieftain, and, like, he looked worried when you mentioned the Abashi. You say the chieftain's been murdered, and he all but rolls his eyes and half hangs his head and goes, "Oh, if we survive this, we will be dealing with them trying to elect a new chieftain for weeks."
Yes. Yeah.
The good news,
The
the
Abashi's
Bashi's
dead.
dead.
Yeah. We killed it.
Dead.
Yep.
It didn't turn invisible or fly away or...
Oh no, it melted.
Yeah, gooified.
Oh, you returned it to the lower... Okay.
I put my health fist through it.
Yes, well, it's not dead, and it'll be returning twice as pissed off as before.
Why are you making the cave shake?
It usually scares off the bandit assaults that we have got in yesteryears. I can see that you are not the regular bandits, and, like, at that point he catches the fact that the people at his feet, kind of sprawled out in their cave entrance, are alive.
Yeah.
And he looks down to the cultist of the claw and goes, "Mr. Core?" And, like, this guy does not look up. Like, he doesn't raise his head. He is so ashamed in this moment. Like, he is staring dead at the floor. And, like, you've never seen a man so defeated, including when you defeated this man.
Yeah, he just disappointed his dad. Like, bruh.
Yeah.
Like we genuinely didn't really want to, like have an actual fight if you guys aren't evil.
Look, evil is subjective. From my perspective, you're
Yeah.
evil. From other perspectives, the devils are evil. But we've got devil-on-devil conflict here. Evil is more than relative. What do you mean by evil?
That's a big question. We didn't like the dragons that are fucking things up outside. Can we agree on that?
There are dragons outside?
But not like actually outside the
Oh,
cave.
you
No, I
mean
mean
in the wider world?
in the wider world, terraforming the fucking world and destroying all life.
Well, and there's 40 dragons not too far away from here.
Yeah, just a few miles outside the forest, there was like a gathering of like 32 red and white dragons.
What do you mean devil on devil?
Yeah, I'm a wee bit curious about that as well.
This is a very awkward position to come and have a conversation. If you...
Like,
Perhaps,
we didn't kill
perhaps you
the guys.
There were more guards than this at the entrance. Where are the other 4?
Oh, my bad.
when they ambushed us, they didn't survive the battle.
Ah, so by I didn't kill your guys, you mean you didn't kill 2 of the 6?
I
Alright.
actually didn't realise that they were all part of the same group, if I'm honest, because the ones that attacked us at the front were like mad and like just full on crazy, whereas these two, well, actually no, this prick actually did try to stab my pal in the back, but the wee guy that was fighting with his hands, he actually did, politely open a dialogue, not stab us from the shadows. So
Yeah.
that, and then we kept his pal alive because it was kind of, but we kept him alive and they were clearly friends, so we weren't just gonna,
Point of order. How long does it enlarge person last?
oh, probably only a minute. So Croc might just like,
Yeah, and it's definitely been longer than a minute, but I was letting it go on a little bit for story purposes, but I believe it definitely is
yeah,
at the point
yeah,
of running out now.
1 minute. So Croc just like,
Okay.
oh, that happened.
I like fall out of the air onto his shoulder again. Or their shoulder again.
Alright.
Oh. Like, do you mind if we just sat and have a chat with you? Because,
No, let's sit and have a chat. You've murdered 4.
yeah,
To be fair,
well,
they tried to
Well,
murder us
self-defense.
first.
Yes,
tec-
I'm adjusting that into the calculation. Alright.
technically they
Rather...
fell in battle.
Oh, I would rather you have a conversation with me than the shaman right now.
Sure.
Okay. He takes half a step back. And he kind of motions you all to the northern hallway that the guard went to and says, if you could escort my companions into that room, I will attend shortly.
Hey, no bother. Croc will like hoist the two the two like
Semi-conscious.
the semi-conscious guys up, and I think John is the person that's closest to Croc, so Croc will pass the claw guy to John, and he'll hoist the monk guy, and just follow the. He said to the north, yeah, like into here.
Yes.
And Croc will just kind of like lift that guy to his feet, like put his arm over their shoulder, and just kind of like walk him into the room.
Righto.
Shouldn't you be coming with us?
Yes, I will follow shortly after to make sure that is the direction that you go.
Sus, you go first.
And Croc is already going up the corridor.
If I go first, I am not privy to the direction that you all move in. You could easily move
Still on Croc's
yourselves.
shoulder.
Yeah, I was gonna say, and Luna's moved past, and it's like,
Yeah, I'm just yelling as I'm going by.
Before John enters, do I believe that he's well intentioned and he's not like trying to lead us into a trap?
Passive insight of 16. This guy would definitely murder you if he could get away with it. Because you can see, like, he's on edge. You being here is dangerous for him, and judging what that guard said, you believe this guy would just murder you guys to solve a problem. But also, he respects the power of the group. Like, there is a certain amount that he is treating you guys with respect. So it could be an ambush, but judging by how the fact that, like, as you're moving, he is talking to two guards that are now behind him in a very casual kind of, like, I'll try and deal with this peacefully, like, just hold your ground, sort of like, stay kind of motion, rather than giving them that kind of stern, give it 5 minutes and then charge down the hallway and we'll murder them together kind of talk. Like,
Not willing to commit more men to the bloodshed.
Yeah. Actually, yes. Like, if there was a trapdoor he could pull and you would all fall down it, he would pull that fucking lever in a heartbeat. But actually getting into conflict with you guys, it doesn't seem like that's a thing he wants to do.
Okay.
Oh god.
While like John is observing all of this, Ella's gonna follow and just step right behind him and then just go close and whisper. None of this makes any fucking sense, Books. What the fuck?
The whole world is upside down right now, Al.
Yeah, because of them.
Okay.
They make Tiamat rise.
So you enter this room, and there is, for better or worse, an alchemy lab in here.
Oh,
so
goody.
there are several people hard at work brewing potions, and like, this doesn't look like a combat room. The guard that's in here is the guard that you guys were dealing with beforehand, and he's only in here because he came in here. So there he is. You've got the guy I was talking about. You've got one of the cultists from before in the red who is still clutching a Tiamat symbol very fervently. The rest, like, there's an assortment of levels of, like, dedication to Tiamat here on display. So you've got the guy in the robes that you were just talking to, no available symbols on him. He is obviously not super into worshipping a Tiamat. You got the fanatic that is crazily, like, worshipping Tiamat, and yet still in this room, not making any aggressive moves towards you, but, like, obviously clutching a holy symbol and praying under his breath. Which is worrying, because that could be a fearful prayer, or that could be the beginning of spell casting, but he's been doing it since you walked in, and no spells have been happening, so...
Now, when you say holy symbol...
Of Tiamat.
Okay.
So, again, nothing is making sense. Like, nothing's entirely adding up. You've got just some cultist guy in the back who is working on potions. He's got a little, like... You know what? There's no available, like, symbols on him, but he's got that attire of the Cult of the Dragon on, like the cultist robes sort of thing. And again, very ragged, like barely holding it together at this stage. So yeah, an assortment of people, and then you've got one guy in the room who is a very stern-looking, like black-coated, dragon-masked guy, holding a sword in front of his chest, pointing downwards. Very strange stance to be doing, but kind of like I've got my sword here, but it's not pointed at you in any aggressive position. It's just like I'm stating that I could be a threat, but I'm not threatening you. Sort of, that's his pose.
Yeah.
So the main guy walks in and says, I'm sorry, we don't have any seating arrangements in here. We don't have much, and like this room's very strange. Like it's bubbling away. Tons is going on here. The smells and aromas are overpowering in weird ways. Like there are some lovely smells. There are some very sulfurous smells. It's just an overpowering amount of smells going on in this room, and also you can see there's not a great ventilation system. However, something you will notice is that the cult fanatic, again, I mentioned that he's been praying, seems to be like constantly just chanting over and over again. And you'll notice that like the vapors in the room and like the bubbling whatever seems to swirl up and around and above his head and then kind of dissipate. And that you all are breathing in this room without it filling up with fumes and you're all suffocating. So you can draw what you want to draw from that. But anyway, the lead guy still holding the orb and the dagger, but less tense now. It sort of addresses you all and goes, "Okay, so there was an Abashi. You fought your way through the orcs.
Well, actually, no, not really. The Abashi killed a lot of orcs. We told the other orcs to stand down. They had one of those like little orcish arguments where one of them was like, "I'm the new leader," and
Okay.
he tried it on with us. He's dead. And then some of the other ones scattered. Then we chatted with some of the other orcs. I was talking with Cookie for like most of the night. He's cool. The other ones that there are fine with us. It was just that wee group that were the problem. And then we thought we'd come in and see if we could, like, make. I mean, honestly, we expected more orcs to do it. We were really surprised to find you a lot, especially the stabbing part. And yeah, my pal John here knows more about the devil stuff side of things. So he might be able to answer more stuff there, but hey.
Right.
That's kind of a weird question. Is John actually just standing there? Or did you just throw your token?
John was helping the masked dude into the room, and so I just put myself next to him because I helped him here. So yeah, John's just leaning against the wall, listening to all this.
All right. Well, we'll have our dude move back to here. He wants to be able to see everyone.
Gotcha.
Right. Okay. Sorry. Point of order. That all may well be. Why are you here?
That is the question of the evening, isn't it? Or is it morning? I can never tell these days.
It's still roughly morning.
Well, we heard there's some powers here, maybe, that we could possibly use against dragons.
Yeah,
There's
John was. Sorry, John, you go ahead.
Oh, thanks, Croc. There's a number of reasons. The Abashi principally is the whole reason that we are here. There was an orcish encampment earlier, a few miles, and John will indicate in the direction. But he's kind of turned around right now because we're underground, so he probably points in the wrong way. Over that way, a couple of miles, and they had information about devil binding and devil summoning, and throughout our journeys, we encountered this white Abashi, and it pilfered the books from us. And thankfully, I had read them, and I knew about the location of this cave. And we figured that a devil coming to free a devil was not a good thing. So we came to stop it. And also, because the world is fucked up and topsy turvy right now, and I'm in possession of knowledge on rituals to not make a pact with, but to steal the power of a devil. And, well, we're trying to destroy the dragon presence on this continent.
Destroy? The six of you?
Hey, we're making progress.
I mean, we're off to a good start. We've already destroyed one of their
Ritual sites.
ritual sites.
The blanket of cold in the region. I don't know if you've noticed it's warmed up in the last few days. That was us.
Well, look at the fucking cultist. Make extra, like, emphasis and looking at the fucking symbols of Tiamat here he's holding. Then look at John. Then look at Croc. Then just put his face in his hand and shake his head.
Well, they already said that they're different.
Yeah.
Were you paying attention?
Yeah, sure. Let's believe the cultists. I guess we're doing that now.
I'm jumping off Krok's shoulder and flying over to here, looking at the main dude. Like, well, you told us you're gonna tell us about the devil and devil stuff, so let's hear it.
There is a devil locked deeper in this cave. Now, we, for all intents and purposes, have not noticed that the region has got warmer because we have been using the devil as a source of heat in this cave and drawing magic from it.
Unless it was a wee bit more balmy around here.
in the cave, you're not actually noticing it's been much warmer, so it might be that they're channeling the heat directly into themselves rather than the ambient temperature.
Was the camp outside not like a lot less frozen though?
Yes and no. So ambient temperature-wise, it wasn't a lot warmer, but because it was a dip, there was no wind chill. So it was a lot nicer in that like cove because I mean there were tents, no wind chill, and fire. So they'd created a little environment for themselves where now that the temperature had gone back up, it was a lot easier. Plus, a lot of the orcs out there were infernal in nature, so as well could have been funneled heat from the devil. Sorry.
Fair play. Fair play. Okay, well, instead Krog, what he just said, like, yeah, we noticed people weren't feeling the cold as much.
And the main guy's still addressing Luna and is like, so the devil is trapped here. We are siphoning power. We have limited knowledge to protect ourselves from him. And frankly, the Cult of the Dragon's teachings, research, knowledge was all dedicated, on one hand, to summoning Tiamat to usher in an age of dragons, and two, to controlling dragons, to mentally dominating them, to a crown of dragons, a series of masks and headwear that, if brought together, they surmised, if powered properly by sources such as this bound devil or whatnot, could be used to put a leash on Tiamat.
You shit the bed on that one, haven't you?
My friend, I am far too young to have been one of the members that rose Tiamat. That was before my time. I am just trying to use what knowledge remains.
Wait.
Equal
Am I
the
getting
scales.
this? Am I getting this right? You're trying to unrise Tiamat? That's what's going on here?
I don't think there's any putting the genie back in the bottle. What we're trying to do...
Trying to keep this site open so you can power your crown of dragon controlling.
I have no idea where the crown is. We were a cell. One small piece of a larger whole, and we haven't had contact from the rest of the cult in many a year. We are simply trying to survive in an age that is not easy to survive in, cut off from the rest. If we had all our power back, yes, I would be trying to assemble the crown, I would be trying to leash Tiamat, and I would be trying to do something to tip the scales in our favor so the world wasn't just awash with dragons entirely in control of the rest of us. If we were in control of some of them, there might be more of an even playing field. It would still be a world of dragons, but it would be a world of dragons and us, rather than just a world of dragons.
Yeah, we'd be
so in the Great War.
Table.
Go for it, go
Just gonna say we'd be more sitting at the table instead of, under it.
Yes.
Yeah.
So in the Great War, you're on the side of humanity.
I am human. I am selfish. So yes.
Well, I, John, will look at the group, can work with that.
Weirdly, that is actually convincing.
Unfortunately, in the southern room that I've tried to prevent you guys from accessing is the Orcish shaman. And he is the one that knows most of the demonic magic. Most of the devil siphoning goes through him.
Alright.
Yep.
We aren't in power here. We have an uneasy alliance with the Orc because I have a decent amount of knowledge in how to protect from higher beings. I have adapted some of the draconic power that I knew from when I was part of the cult to protect myself from the will of mightier beings. I have adapted that with some of the orcish knowledge. Orcs traditionally very aligned with demons who are opposed to devils, so through that we were able to get some knowledge in how to protect ourselves from devils. This Uneasy Alliance has allowed us to exist here and siphon just enough power to live. And it's a difficult balance. We need to siphon power to live. If we siphon too much and destroy the devil by siphoning too much of his power, we will eject him from this plane, he will go back to where he comes from, and we are essentially fucked. If we take too little, he starts to wake up, and bad things happen when he is awake.
Oh, yeah.
So the reason I was trying to keep you out of the cave is we are balancing on a knife's edge on our best day around here. If you come in and slaughter the lot of us, there will be a very awake devil to deal with, unless you are better at siphoning power than the shaman and can spend the rest of your life here siphoning just the right amount.
That look to John. Didn't you say the devil was bound like thousands of years ago?
That was certainly the impression that I got. Do I feel like he's contradicting the information in the book, or I didn't get a complete enough picture from the book?
Maybe you didn't get a complete enough picture, because he is not necessarily contradicting that information, but he is giving a lot more specifics. So you may have taken thousands of years ago. I believe what you learned was that this devil was bound here before the rise of Tiamat, which is a number of years ago, but not thousands.
Which means this guy wasn't there, though, because he said that was before his time.
Indeed.
Yeah, the book said devil bound, wounded in ages past, and sealed in an enchanted iron spike through the chest.
Yep.
So ages past, in my mind, is a long fucking time.
That could have been the wound, though.
Well, he was wounded then sealed. That's part of the same phrase. So unless my notes are wrong,
I think Dan has in fact picked up on the specific wording here. He was wounded in ages past, but sealed more recently.
Like while he was trying to regather his strength is when he was sealed, maybe.
Yeah.
Now, I don't care about staying here forever, because we've got dragons to deal with. But there could be a wee bit of a back and forth, because I think that John here, he's quite a smart thing, could maybe help yous a bit.
We could all help each other. We all
Yeah.
want the same thing.
Yeah. I mean, I've got no interest in any devil shite, but,
I have been honest with my motives and what we're doing here. I haven't heard what your motives are and what you want.
well, you have, in part. We are interested in defending humanity and removing the dragon scourge in the best way that we can. And to do that, we need power. 30 dragons is too much for any mortal without the right arcane concoction. I believe it's possible for us to win this war, leveraging artifacts and power of various sources. We came here to stop the devil. Additionally to that, I came in here to siphon power from the devil for my own ends, to safeguard humanity.
Fortunately, even I haven't been able to siphon power from the devil. The shaman has been siphoning power and mostly siphoning it towards his tribe.
I
We get
have
some. But the key point
tomes.
here
I
is
have knowledge.
I don't have access to the devil directly. The devil is in a part of this chamber that is guarded by something I don't necessarily understand, but would believe was put here before my time to stop people from accessing the devil because it is dangerous.
Well, then how does your shaman siphon power without connection to the devil?
Where is he gonna throw the power now that 90% of his tribe is dead?
I wish I knew the answer to that. If I knew the answer to that, I would have probably dethroned him before now. Part
Well-
of our uneasy alliance is the fact that he is the only one that knows how to keep this balanced. I can't let you down here because my survival is tied to his existence, as much as I hate to say it.
Well, it sounds like, between my knowledge, your thirst to overthrow the orcs and the uneasy balance that we have here, we could strike an accord.
If you can get me direct access to the devil, or you can find out why the shaman, who, I will be honest, it would be very likely to try and attack you on sight. He is not an easy fellow to deal with. If you can get the knowledge from him of how he is siphoning power, which I haven't been able to do in over 10 years, if you can get that knowledge from him, or get me access to the devil, I might be able to get this place under control. But even then, I have not many forces at my ken. It would be difficult and dangerous to upset this balance. I want to overthrow him, but you understand, I meant it when I said we are balancing on a knife edge. If that if that devil awakes and rampages through here, none of us are going to survive, and we've just unleashed a devil on the world, which is already beset by ungodly amounts of dragons.
My guy, you've been in a cave for a while, but none of us are surviving already because of the dragons.
Yeah.
I
And
think
what's so
taking
special
the
about this
risk on a
devil?
devil is a lot lesser of an evil.
Isn't the Abashi devil? It's called an
Yes.
Abashi, right?
The
Well,
Abashi is a devil.
Then why is this one so special? We just killed the devil.
Devils come in varying powers, just like dragons, just like people, just like bears.
Also,
This could be
sorry, go ahead.
this could be a greater power than we've ever encountered. This could be a greater power than freezing. We don't know. I haven't taken enough time. I'd like a day to really go through and study my tomes before we confront this shaman. I'd like time to prepare.
Doesn't one of you know his name? And I'll look at the guard that told us they know the devil's name. Wouldn't that help him with his research?
The head guy looks about. We believe part of the rune that we have inscribed on our necks, and he just taps his like coat. He doesn't actually expose it, but we believe one of the markings contained in that is the rune of the devil's true name in Infernal. I have studied as much Infernal as I know, and I can't work it out. I'm not a mage. I am a magic researcher at best. I'm running a ragtag crew of people. If we knew its true name, we might have some power over it. I believe the orc knows its true name and guards that knowledge because it protects his life. If he dies and takes that knowledge with him, we're fucked.
I believe given accommodation and time, with the information I have at my disposal, and one of your men with this mark, I have a feeling I can work backwards and discover this devil's name. Nothing is set in stone, but in the interests of jolly cooperation.
Even if we learned his true name, as I said, there is a fearsome thing, some kind of golem, guarding the room that the devil is in. More than once, I have attempted to assault that room with what forces I have, and on our best day, we have been completely slaughtered.
Well, I hate to be insensitive to your recent losses. However, we stand here unfazed, having run through, and he'll look around the room, about half of your offerings.
He twiddles a finger in the air and goes, "This is the alchemy room. These are not our marshaled forces.
Oh, goody.
This is a respectful discussion I am having with you. with my guard down and my troops not with me.
Oh, I wasn't intending to be threatening. I was simply stating our capacity might be greater than yours in a full force kind of situation.
If you believe you can take down the golem guarding the entrance and get me access to this being's true name, I would be more than happy to overthrow the shaman and siphon power to you. Whatever power I have spare, I would be more than happy to store or siphon to you on your journey so you could go about slaying dragons. I would be more than happy to make that deal with you rather than the orcs.
Do you have an arcane person that could do that? Does it have to be arcane? Can it be any magic?
I have enough knowledge of the arcane that I can do runes, and we have certain magic items we can use to siphon and store power. A couple of our number are very minor arcane practitioners, incredibly minor.
I can't help but notice you still haven't told us who the other devil is. You said there was devil and devil action. I haven't really heard much of it.
The Abashi is one devil, and the devil we have trapped here is the other. And I don't know the motives of either of them to know whether they were allied and one was trying to free the other, or whether they were fighting, or... I simply don't know. All I know is that the Abashi are not allied with us. They are fervently against what we are trying to do.
Oh, speaking of, you've mentioned that the Abashi will be back. It knows of this cave's existence. I don't know that moving the devil is possible.
Not if we
I
can't
don't
gain access to it.
I don't know. And looking around the room, all of his forces have mundane weapons, correct?
It looks like it.
The
None of these people look like they're in like super magical gear because it's all showing signs of wear and tear, and magical items generally don't do that.
Of course. Now, I know that you said that you haven't marshaled your forces and we haven't seen a glimpse behind the veil, and I'm not asking you to show your hand. However, this creature was entirely immune to our mundane attacks, as well as fire and ice and many of other means. He ran through the orcs like they weren't even there.
Yes, and
Do
now
you have the capacity to repel this creature?
and
Speaking honestly, you have nothing to gain. We're all aligned here. Do you have the capacity?
he like rubs his temple and is like debating something in his head, and then seems to answer like candidly, honestly, and simply says, "No, I am not. I simply don't have the tomes to do the research for this knowledge."
I'm just going out on a limb here. We killed the Abashi 3 times because our wizard forgot a certain spell that he has. And you couldn't even kill it once?
John goes bright red at that and like tries to hide his
Ugh.
face. I fucking
We haven't come up against it once. I believe you killed it before it got into the cave. So we haven't tested our metal against it. As I mentioned, I do have certain magical artifacts that allow me to do things.
But
well,
you just
the
said that
people
you wouldn't
attached to
have the
those.
capacity.
I don't have the capacity to do arcane research or do magical damage to such a creature. But I do have magical artifacts, hordes of magical artifacts, to trap creatures. And he like lifts the orb, not orb, that you could barely see before, and like he flips his dagger into his hand, and then taps the hilt of the dagger against the orb, and I'm not going to say he ceases to exist, but like he looks like a ghost. Like he goes from looking like a normal person to an ethereal ghost, like spectral and like tinted blue, and then like floating in place. and then you see him tap the hilt of his dagger against the orb again, in whatever ethereal state he's in, and he comes back to looking physical and normal. And he's like, I'm not without my tricks. Just because I am not a wizard doesn't mean I am completely incapable.
I mean, that looks like that's the orb's trick, not yours.
And the flight you have is your wings trick, not yours. What's your point?
So you were born with that orb?
No, I was not. The point is, does it matter where you get it from if you can do it?
I mean, a little bit.
I think, respectfully, we're getting off track.
Yeah.
I mean, us
We need
being in
time.
this whole cave is off the track, so...
Maybe not, Al. We have time. I have research. I believe one of the things that I read is how to bind a devil. Perhaps before we work on siphoning power and overthrowing the orcish denizens of this teetering alliance, we lay a trap for our Abashi friend for when they inevitably come back, and we bind that devil to this place. More power to siphon, one threat, one of the pieces removed from the board, if the ritual would be successful.
You have the knowledge to do this. You know how to bind this devil.
Cursory. I have the ability to find out. I need time. Time is something that we've had very little of in the last few days.
Make me a persuasion check with advantage. This guy really wants to buy into what you're selling.
Advantage. Persuasion. 17.
17's pretty good. So he strokes his chin, kind of flips the dagger between his fingers, like rolls it across his knuckles and sheaths it in a very incredibly, you've seen elves that are less dexterous than that little move that he just pulled. He strokes his chin in thought and goes, "All right, I believe you. So what is your plan then? What are you offering to accomplish here? Like I said, you would need to destroy something that I've never seen anyone damage in my time here. You would need to destroy a massive golem.
Wait, when you mean no one's damaged it, do you mean it doesn't... Is it like the Ibashi where non-magical bullshit doesn't work on it?
I mean that I've watched men charge at it with a sword, and they're generally flat before they get to swing it. So I don't know.
Men like these? And I, point at his men around the room.
You see the cultist in the back room, specifically hangs his head, and he goes, "Yes, men like those."
Ah, okay.
I believe that's possible, but I don't know that it's necessary. The shaman has remote access, it seems, to the devil. There's a chance that we could take those means for ourselves and leave the protection in place.
Or the shaman might know how to control the golem.
It could be that it's all a rouse, yes, as Kruak's saying, and that you've been played the fool this whole time.
It's possible, but I've been in this cave for a long time, and I've been dealing with this shaman for a number of years now.
Does your present predates the shaman's? What came first, the shaman or the egg?
The egg in this scenario.
Yes.
I came first. The orcs invaded. It destabilized our entire operation. The previous leader of the cult was slain. The orc had a dealing with the devil, which I still find incredibly suspect, and came away with knowledge. Seemingly betrayed the devil and started siphoning power from it. Since then, we stopped hearing the whispers of the devil in our minds, and I am told and under the impression that the devil is not active. Now, for a number of years, I have been using certain magical items to scan the minds of orcs and my fellow compatriots for any hint of devilish taint, and have not found it.
Wait.
I have desperately... What?
I'm gonna fly over to John and whisper in his ear. Didn't we hear screaming in our heads when we were outside?
Yes. Yes, we did.
Well remembered, Luna.
Do you think that's what he's talking about?
It very well could be. What
Well,
if you... I'm a wizard, if you couldn't tell. And I'll give a little bow. What item, perchance, is this that you're using? Maybe I could look at it. It might not be the case that you are entirely aware of what's going on.
So he slowly draws his dagger and taps the dagger, the flat of the blade against his little invisible orb. And then while the blade is still vibrating, presses the flat of the blade to his forehead and draws it across. And on his head, a helmet appears of some kind, which very strange. Like, again, this is not a person casting magic. This is a guy using certain magical objects. He's almost like a very, very low-ranking artificer. But anyway, he's got this helmet and he taps it and goes, "This allows me to peer into the minds of others."
Is it an item that I recognize offhand without needing to cast Identify?
Make me an Arcana check.
Alrighty. Nah. 10 is a 10.
It's a very strange brass-looking helmet. And like it's got a brain motif kind of on the back of it. Like it's not a brain, but it is shaped like a brain with grey matter out of bronze.
Is this something
And
that is at all known in like wizard spheres?
it could be. Like you could know of it.
Can I
You
try
can
and
make an
Arcana?
Arcana check if you like. 17. Yeah, so despite the modifiers, the dice are telling a very different story. John, you don't know what this is. Luna, you immediately recognize this as a helm of telepathy, so someone around you previously might have worn or used one of these. It can be used to cast Detect Thoughts, which means you can like read a person's mind. It can also be used to cast the Suggestion spell, which you suggest a course of action and then the person has to carry it out. So it's a fairly potent magical item.
Interesting. Well, before Luna shares, John's going to be reaching for his spell book and preparing to cast the Identify spell.
Okay, you have to be touching the item for a minute to do that.
Okay, well, in that case, as I'm preparing my spell book, I'll ask him, could I borrow that here within supervision for the next 10 minutes to identify this object?
He almost panickedly repeats the thing where he like draws his dagger across the orb and then across his forehead and the helmet disappears and he goes, "No, under no circumstances."
What was it called again?
The Helm of Telepathy.
What are the chances
John,
that this item isn't doing what you think it is? What are the chances that the item is tainted and is hiding the devil's influence? Because while we were outside the cave, I heard screaming.
You heard screaming?
Psychological screaming.
We all heard it, actually.
I don't know that
Was
you
this-
have the full picture.
Was this before or after you killed the Abashi?
before.
And have you heard it since?
Have we?
I don't think so.
Nope.
I'm gonna whisper in John's ear. It's a helmet of telepathy, by the way.
Oh, I think I've heard of those.
I knew some wizards who used them.
Gotcha. Thank you, Luna. Wait, never mind. I'm not sure if you've talked about working under wizards before.
Nope.
Then there are a couple of possibilities here. Either we are all under the influence of the devil, and the binding that we are using, which we think is protecting us from it, is manipulating us somehow. Or the binding is protecting us, and that's why we didn't hear the scream. Or the scream was from the creature that you defeated and not our bound devil. We don't know which of those three it could be.
All equally plausible. However, in times like these, I fear that we should prepare for the worst, which would be that the taint has crept in and you don't even realize.
And if that is the case, what would we do with that knowledge? I'm already treating you as respectfully as I can.
Yes, we would find a way to, through restoration magic of some kind, my compatriots are versed in other schools besides just the arcane. It's possible that we could find a way to remove the bindings. It's possible that there's something in the tomes that I carry to find a way to be able to tell and then circumvent those means, hopefully non-destructively.
Yes,
Be-
hopefully.
Because in the interest of cooperation, I feel like we could all use as many friends as we can get.
Just while we've got a bunch of eggheads in one room, the guy that we killed, the guy I punched his chest inside it, the White Abashi guy.
Hmm.
You said he's gonna come back.
All devils do, unless destroyed in their home plane.
Okay. Is there like a time frame on that? Like, you know,
I'm sure there is. Unfortunately, any knowledge I had, which is limited, I know they come back. It depends on the rank, if they get demoted when they're returned to their home plane, what the power structure is, what they were trying to accomplish, the kind of devil. Even then, that was before the fall. After the fall of the world, once the dragons took over, once Tiamat rose from the pit. We don't know. We don't know what happened there. The Abashi is a draconic devil. I know of very little pure devils, pre-fall devils. Things have changed. I know things have changed, but I know no more than that. I am a speculator. I'm working off incomplete information here. I'm doing the best I can with what I have, but what I have is very little, and you have just expressed to me that you think my mind is corrupted. So I don't know what I should even tell you, if I know it or if the facts are being manipulated.
It's a possibility. Doesn't mean it's true.
That's what I'm telling you. I'm telling you, even though I am expressing to you what I believe to be true, I am, even to my own knowledge, a unreliable source.
alright.
Do we have any restoration capabilities? Luna, maybe Kruok?
Magic, I can do things.
I do not.
Regardless, I think that I will need time to meditate, to reflect, and to study.
The only thing I can do is if he's under some kind of possession or charm, I can protect him from it. I think that might stop it from being used.
You can protect him after he's been charmed?
No, I think it will prevent him. I think it will end any spell that's currently being cast. I'm not sure. I've never used it that way before.
No harm in trying? And John will look inquisitively at the gentleman we've been speaking to this whole time.
I am willing to try.
But it only works against certain types of things, so...
I think Luna and I have access to the self-same spell.
Actually, would
Yeah, sure.
identify tell me what magical effects are affecting a creature?
Yes.
I believe that's part of it.
One object?
Yeah, it does say
If
at
you-
the
if you
bottom,
touch
if
a
you instead
creature.
touch a creature throughout the casting, you learn what spells, if any, are currently affecting it.
Yeah.
No, wait, and John will say, "Hold on, I think I might be able to identify you, sir, and see if there's any magical effects or spells affecting you."
John, I think before casting spells on somebody, you should at least know their name.
Oh, Soul.
Saul?
Soul?
SOLE, Soul.
Oh,
Uh, I'm Luna.
okay.
Hello.
Nice to meet you, Luna.
As John said, I'm Croak.
Okay, Croc, John, and the other two gentlemen.
I'll just smile menacingly.
That's Albert. He can't hurt you.
Just call me Albert. And do you really think I can't hurt him?
John cracks into a big grin and starts chuckling. This is Al. He is harmful, but well-intentioned. Usually. And over there, brooding in the corner, we know him as the Knight. And
Yeah, even
John
we
will kind
don't
of give
know
a
his
shrug.
fucking name. No, wait. It's okay with everyone that no one knows the knight's name, but when I try to not tell my name to the fucking cultist, that's not okay? Okay, whatever.
Can I attempt to I guess point, I think, in this direction?
Mm-hmm.
And attempt to aim a spell at Vren? It says that you can cast it through if you're familiar with the target.
120 feet.
Yeah, I don't know if he's within range, that's the only thing.
1 foot of stone, 1 inch of common metal, or a thin sheet of lead could block the spell.
Yeah, we'll read the paragraph above it.
I did say attempt.
Yeah, you can cast a spell through solid objects if you're familiar with the target and know it's beyond the barrier. So you are familiar enough with Vren. Okay, well, it says beyond the barrier, but then it says what blocks the spell. So I genuinely don't know.
You could leave it up to dice if you want. That's why I said attempt. I don't know.
I feel like with the way that it says beyond the barrier and then names what the barriers would be means that the intention of the spell, if you're familiar with the target, is for it to transcend the barrier.
Well, it doesn't say those are the barrier.
Yeah, I was going to say if the barrier part was after the telling us what the barrier would be, it'd be less confusing for me. I'm going to rule that you can indeed. I'll tell you what. You cast the spell, and then I'll tell you what happens.
Okay, I attempt to cast it, obviously quietly, because it's a whispered thing, and try to say, "Hey, Vren, how are you doing out there?"
Doing just fine up here.
Everything's okay?
I don't know how to deal with this elk, but otherwise, yes.
Forgot all about the elk.
That's it. That's all.
All right. Well, so Soul is looking towards you, John, and
Does he consent to the identify?
yeah, he consents to the identify spell.
Okay. This might get uncomfortable. I promise I'll only touch the places required.
Places?
It says you have to stay in contact through touch with the target. So I was like,
Yeah, I assumed you could just like hold hands or something.
Wow.
It had to be like a pat down.
While you guys are doing that, here's a thought, because I'm no use here. I might go out and talk to Cookie some more and see if I can get some information for him about the shaman that might help with that.
Yeah, worth a shot. Or any of the other orcs, really.
Yeah, I've got a good rapport with Cookie though, so I think I'll start there.
Mhm.
All right, well, Luna, you can reach me if you need me.
Will do. And I salute.
Krog will give everybody a thumbs up and head out to Cookie.
A double check. I think Cookie might be. Yeah, Cookie's 300 feet away from the entrance of the cave that you're in, so I don't believe Luna can access you.
Yeah, but she could get close enough.
Yeah.
I just have to move.
She would have to exit the cave to do so.
Yeah.
Yep.
Alright, so John, you're gonna start your ritual?
That is correct.
Okay. So Soul is happy to sit down with you. He kind of goes cross-legged on the floor. He has sheathed his dagger again, and he's laid the orb in his lap, which is very strange because you can only see it sometimes, but he seems to have a very good sense of where it is at all times. He's letting you touch him, but he's like real tense, and like he's always resting his hand near his dagger, not necessarily on it, but he's just like, you can see he's worried and is waiting for some kind of like betrayal. He's also listening really intently to the spell you're casting, watching the ritual. He's just trying to decipher what you are doing. Like he's worried, but he is super invested in what you're doing, and you can tell by the look on his face he hasn't seen magic like this either ever before or in a really long time.
Gotcha. I'll just be talking to him the whole time, like a dentist, fucking, oh yeah, this is gonna hurt a bit over here. This is what I use to channel this particular type of arcane flow, and blah 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 blah. To
Yeah,
walk him through the ritual to try to sense it or desensitize him a little bit to the alien nature of what's going on.
fair enough. There is a certain amount of like, because it's a ritual, there is a certain amount of like magical chanting you have to do.
Of course.
Anyway, let's move outside in scene to Croc and Cookie. So what are you asking Cookie, Croc? You find Cookie, and like at this point, I believe Cookie stayed up most of the night, like talking with you about stories. So Cookie is fast asleep when you get to the tent.
There was a point like a few hours before everybody else woke up where Cookie went to sleep because Krog just like went back to the dome and rested.
Yeah, so a few hours.
Yeah.
But you know, a normal humanoid needs 6 or 7 hours sleep minimum. It's been maybe 2 or 3, so Cookie's been asleep for a while, but isn't wide awake yet.
Fair play. In that case, what Krog is going to do then is Krog will sit down and wait to see if any orcs come over.
And in fact, as soon as you sit down, you're sitting down near Cookie's tent, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, when you sit down near Cookie's tent, a fairly burly orc comes over very quickly. Axe in one hand, but not a great axe. This is like a wooden hafted, not dull blade, but like worn in a way that you can tell it's been sharpened over and over and over and over, like wood cutting blade.
I was gonna say like a woodman's axe.
Yeah, like a woodsman's axe. He comes over, like ripped as shit looking orc, wearing the normal like furs an orc's got, like stubbly beard, and he kind of semi aggressively asks like what you're doing. And like he's doing that thing where he approaches towards you, asks what you're doing, and then starts shifting around you, like he's trying to put himself between you and Cookie's tent.
Krog just says, "Oh, I'm friends with Cookie. I was just waiting. I mean, obviously he's still asleep, but I'm just kind of hanging around, waiting to talk to him when he wakes up. Are you needing to be hand with anything, or are you just keeping an eye?"
And you can see, you say waiting for Cookie to wake up, and like this doesn't compute with this orc, who, showing his like orcish nature, just kind of hooks Cookie's tent open with a thumb, and like being a fairly typical orc, just kicks Cookie like on the thigh, and like you hear Cookie grunt and get up. He's like, "What?" And he thumbs to you and goes, "There's someone waiting for you." And Cookie like does this thing where like he opens the tent and peers out of it, looks left, looks right, and goes, "I don't see anyone."
Frog just goes, "Ah!" Funny.
And you can see like Cookie rubbing his eyes. He is obviously very tired still. But he like and this seems to be fairly normal for the orcs. Despite being kicked, there's no like, fuck you about it. It's just this is par for the course. So he sits on the edge of his tent, does little stretches, kind of like rolls his knuckles in the dirt, and goes, "Alright, what's up?"
I mean, has the woodsman guy walked away, or is he still?
No, he's still hanging around. He wants to know what you want to ask Cookie about.
Yeah, Krog's like, I mean, for the record, I was just gonna let you sleep for a bit and just kind of, hang about. But I wanted to square away some questions with you about the chain of command.
You say chain of command, and both of these orcs get like a puzzled look on their face.
The big gun. I want to ask about the big gun. And Krog will like just jerk a thumb over their shoulder at the cave.
Our boss is dead.
No, the one with the powers like mine, the shaman.
You got powers like the shaman.
Yeah.
Huh.
If I wanted, I could shower this whole area in lightning or erupt the earth around us. I can call on the spirits of the damned to power me.
I can cook.
I can't, so
And then the woodsman is looking like I don't know what the facial expression is, but like he's tracking what you're saying, and you can tell you hit a point where like in his mind you've oversold it, and he's looking at you, looking at like your muscle density, because this is the way the orcish mind is thinking. Is like, no, you don't have big enough muscles to be that powerful to do that. So he's kind of giving you the nah, no, you can't sort of attitude, and like he kind of half laughs and like sits down on a stump nearby because like according to his body language, it's story time right now, and Cookie's sitting there going, "Oh, that's all very nice, but what's..." So you want to burn down the camp, or you want to be the new leader? Like,
no, I'm just saying, like the shaman, I am powerful, and I just want to know a bit about them.
well, I don't like him much. He's been weird. And the lumberjack orc, who is now like digging dirt out of his boot using a part of the axe that he came with, goes, "Now, what kind of orc can do what he can do and isn't trying to run the camp? I have never seen an orc rise to power and then not take the title of war chief. There's something going on there, and I don't fucking trust it." And Cookie kind of like gives a nod and is like, "Yeah, there's always been something up with that. Always."
It does seem weird, not gonna lie.
And talking with Cookie and even the lumberjack as well, who's more than willing to pitch in, they just start having a conversation kind of between themselves, and they're more than happy to involve you, but like you've got them talking, and they will talk about the history of the tribe and how the shaman came in. Like he was born into the tribe. He is not just like someone that appeared mysteriously out of nowhere. He came into the tribe and then one day just got weird.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't know why, but he got weird, and now Cookie doesn't fucking trust him, but the other guy's like, yeah, but he's powerful and we need the power to survive, so it means to an end sort of thing. And you can see, like, this lumberjack guy, not particularly devilish. Like, there's nothing massively devilish going on, but there's just a hint of it in that, like, his gums are black, whereas a normal orc shouldn't be, and his fingernails are black as well. So either he's, like, eating something weird, or there's just, like, the hint of the taint on here over him, but not like the others where they have, like, fully devilish limbs or stuff like that. So, you know, you're talking to a couple of people that don't necessarily fully buy in to what's going on. But despite a lot of discussion, everything they say is conjecture. So you get the idea that the orcs of this tribe don't fucking know what this shaman is about. Like, it's really insular. Like, they don't know anything, because everything they say is, oh, I bet it's this, or I wonder if it's this, or I think it's this. And in fact, the last time either of them mentioned seeing him is years ago. He went into that cave, they've settled here, and just haven't fucking seen this lad in years.
That is
Anyway,
weird.
that's as much as you get for now.
Yeah, no, of course.
We're going to transition back into the cave, because that is the 11, I think, minutes it takes to cast Identify as a Ritual.
Mm-hmm.
And John, so it says, you learn what spells, if any, are currently affecting them, right?
That's what it says.
Okay, so there is, and you learn this, like, this is one of those things where it is knowledge beamed into your brain. So you just thematically here right now, you can take 1 psychic damage for me, just 1.
Oof.
What?
Because this guy is affected by so many fucking spells. Like, so many, it's ridiculous. And it's spells layered on spells, layered on spells, interacting with spells. So the marking that they've got on them is like 6 or so spells layered on top of each other. And this knowledge is just being beamed into your head like a fucking shotgun blast. It's honestly just too much for your mind all at once. It's really uncomfortable, because Identify as a spell, usually it's like, oh, it's this one effect and it does this. You don't get that luxury here. It's just, it's like you're trying to take notes on a lecture, except someone's turned it up to 10 times speed. Like, all the information is there, but it's just pouring in and pouring in and pouring in. So you've got an infernal binding marker. All right, so there is an infernal binding marker on this that is connecting him to a devil. But then you've got some layered things on top of it, and you get so much information so quickly that you can barely glean what's going on. But someone has tried to adapt this mark so it's choked in one direction, right? So that there is an infernal pipeline so that power and only power can pour from this devil in one direction, but not go back the other way. And it's a lot of spells trying to layer this to happen, but it's also very specifically about a devil, a single devil, a one pit fiend that is somewhere in this cave.
Fuck.
So you get that much, but then you also get this, like, layer of multitude of, like, an etherealness spell. Like, there is ethereal things, objects on this guy's person that are just shifted outside of reality and then, like, bound relative in space to soul. So, like, that's several objects that are shifted out of this plane of existence, pushed inside soul, so, like, they're physically inside him, and then bound to him relatively, so when he moves, they move with him. And then there's, like, a very low level, just, like, it's very weird to you, but there is a low level psychic assault coming at soul all the time. Which is where you think you got like that 1 psychic damage from. Because like this is almost like a pair of iron doors. If like it, as his mind is a pair of iron doors. You can't see what's on the other side, but something is on the other side of that, just pounding a fist on those iron doors, just over and over and over, constantly, without end. And that's what you get from the Identify spell.
Sure his name is
At any
Soul?
point,
Okay, hold on.
Go
Luna
ahead.
first, what were you going to say?
No, I was just gonna make a joke. Go ahead.
Okay. John?
so at any point, it's talking about the layering of magics to protect from this one particular pit fiend.
Mhm.
Does it use the pit fiend's true name?
The Identify spell tells you the effects and the magic. It doesn't necessarily tell you the true name. However, for it to be so specific to this one pit fiend, you surmise that part of the rune binding written on him must contain the true name of this pit fiend, but the spell doesn't tell you which word is that name.
Okay. 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 So, as you say, John takes a point of psychic damage. I'd like to imagine that he just starts bleeding from the eyes, ever so slightly, like tears, while he's casting through the Identify spell.
I fly over to him and are you okay?
Oh,
And
wow.
Soul pulls away from you, like worried.
And John will like stumble over against the wall and take a seat. There's a lot going on over there. Okay.
Are you okay though? Are you gonna pass out? What's happening?
No, we should be okay. It stings, but nothing crazy. So I found out what our devil friend is.
Friend. And Soul draws the dagger.
Oh,
Like, that was the wrong choice of wording. You've immediately put him on edge.
He's kidding!
I'm sorry, I was being, what's the word, facetious? I was exaggerating for effect. And, like, John doesn't even, like, move to defend himself. He just, like, like, a friend of me. I'm sorry. I'm using nuanced language and I shouldn't be. No, the devil, not our friend. It's a pit fiend.
And did you learn its true name?
I learned that the true name is bound as a part of your mark, like we suspected. But it did not reveal to me what the name was. However, I believe, and now you can let me know, DM, if this is baseless, but whether John believes it or not, me as a player, I believe that working off the tome, working off of what I've just identified affecting you, and working off the rune, I can peel back the layers and identify the true name.
Make me
I
an
can help
Arcana
you.
check.
I
You know
can
what,
help you.
Luna, you can help with this Arcana check if you want to.
Yeah,
All right.
I know wizard shit.
So that's a 24 thanks to Luna's help.
Woo!
Okay. So there was something at a DC 25 that you didn't quite meet. A 24 is
What?
great, but
Fuck!
if
Is there guidance or anything that anyone wants to give me?
I was going to say, if any party members have any
Let me
ability
look.
to enhance a roll,
I will punch you if you don't get
I've already got advantage, so
I
making
was
me
gonna
afraid
say-
isn't gonna help.
as weird as it sounds, I still think that's genuinely the help action. Like,
So I can only do stuff if I fail a save or if I make an ability check that is this a failure?
Oh, do you have guidance?
I have magical guidance. Can I use this? Is this considered a failure though?
it's a failure to meet a certain DC. I'm going to give you some information, but if you want to spend a sorcery point to roll one more time,
It's to re-roll it though.
There's your 25. I got it.
Oh my god.
Who are you trying to punch, Al?
The information because it's not coming.
Okay, Al just punches himself in the head. But yes, so either Luna or John can make a straight Arcana roll to try and hit a DC 25.
You wanna do
Probably
it?
me. I think I'm the only one. I've got a +7. I think I'm the only one that can
Yeah.
hit it.
You need to roll an 18 on the die.
Oh, this is fine. This is fine. This is fine.
Oh, come on!
24 again. The dice are telling a particular story, and they don't want to tell you.
Okay.
hmm
Do I want to use another sorcery point? Can I use another sorcery point?
You must use
use the new roll.
Ah, fuck it.
But at least it's still a 24.
It's still a 24. It could have gone way worse.
It
Anyway,
could have been way worse.
you guys are combining your power. Yes, you could. To the question you asked, you could peer into this thing. However, you don't. Like, I'm giving you some information. You know I'm not giving you something because you didn't hit a full 25. This is several spells interacting with each other, layered on top of each other, all at once. This is a delicate, like, clockwork, precision set of things interlocking and interchanging. If in even looking into these spells, you interrupt the balance of these things layered on top of each other, you could fuck something up. But on a 24, you don't know what and you don't know where. You just know that it's fucking dangerous to mess with this, but that exactly what you want to know is under messing with this.
Gotcha.
Is under messing with it? What does that mean?
So, like, if I begin to fuck with the unfuckwithable, the answers are there. Damn the consequences.
It's like saying exactly what you want is in that treasure chest, but you know that treasure chest is a mimic that could explode. So it's there, you know it's there, but you also know it's mega fucking dangerous to mess with.
Dangerous for who, though?
Not our problem.
Oh no, it very much could be. You start unraveling this stuff, you magically intertwine yourself with the magic. You could end up on the receiving end of a pit fiend's righteous fury. And that would not be good for anyone here. I'm assuming that, well, John didn't know about the Abashi. Pit fiends are famous enough to where he'd have at least, like, cursory level information. Is that fair enough to surmise?
Pit fiends are with your passive arcana, pit fiends are a big enough deal that you know of pit fiends. They're pit fiends in Faerun are one of those things that are close enough to the boogeyman that even like commoners have heard the words pit fiend. They might not have like a concept of what a pit fiend is to the level that you do, but yeah, everyone knows the words pit fiend. Except maybe Krog.
I was about to say.
Ruak, got any of that primal forbidden knowledge flooding back to you with this sudden revelation?
Even if
They're not here.
even if they did, not in the room.
Oh, true. The token was still here, and I totally forgot. No, you're good. My apologies. Just shaken by this revelation, Bacon. Okay. So, I'm gonna look at Soul. It's possible to peel back the layers like I thought, but this is some very complicated and intricate magic. Something could go horribly wrong, and I don't know what the consequences of that would be. It probably could be up to death, and potentially worse than that.
So it's at this point that, like, the guy at the back of the room who was just dealing with the potions kind of steps forward, puts his hand on Soul's shoulder, and, like, none so subtle. He leans down to whisper, but he only says the words, "My life for the cause." And you see Sol kind of like tense up in this like, "Oh, I didn't want to hear that" kind of way. And then looks to John, like he doesn't even look up at the guy that put his hand on his shoulder, the cultist that's just standing behind him, and says the words like in a measured, pushing himself forward, even though he doesn't want to be saying this. The binding is the same on all of us. And there are members of the organization that would be willing to take that risk.
Wait, it would blow up them? Not John?
Since we're talking pit fiend here, what are the chances you fucking with this just makes it go batshit crazy and break free?
I believe the chance is there.
Yeah, not 0%, that's for sure.
I mean,
it's
You would have a way better gauge of that if you'd hit a 25 DC on that Arcana.
think about it, Al, though. We're already overrun by dragons.
Oh no, I'm just mentally preparing myself to be, one of the few people that fought a fucking pit fiend and lived.
Oh.
Probably not and lived.
I was gonna say some intense boldness from Al there on the
Yeah.
and lived.
I threatened Ren! He can one-shot me! How bad can this be?
Well, actually, it's a good thing Friend doesn't use exclusively fire spells, otherwise we might have a decent shot. Yeah, so there's that. Our ace in
Is
the
that
hole can't even
sarcasm?
hurt this thing. Very much so. Well picked up on. I don't think I
Oh.
was projecting it very well.
Thanks.
Sol lifts a finger and is like, "Okay, that's the second time you've used sarcasm in this conversation, and it's been very difficult to pick up on. I don't think you're very good at sarcasm."
My charisma is a
Dealing with
9.
people.
My personality is as weak as my arms. Ah,
What the fuck? Okay, that was a good one. Can we
the
do this
soul
tomorrow,
still.
though?
We could do it tomorrow. We could. I want to read, and John will reference the books that he hasn't shown yet. I have information. I appreciate your willingness to sacrifice, but let me do my homework, that no life may be lost in vain.
And Sol kind of perks up and goes, "Books?
I've
Good.
mentioned them several times, yeah.
Yes, but now you're talking about studying and research. I'm sorry, what do the books contain?"
The books are the magic key, my friend.
The books are how we knew about this cave. And
The books
devil.
contain information about summoning and binding and theft rituals. It's everything that I think you've been looking for. As I
Cool.
mentioned earlier, were you just too in shock? Because I
Eh,
believe this isn't the first time that John's mentioned the books.
Yeah, you mentioned the books, but I don't know that you mentioned what the books were about. You just mentioned that there were books.
I said that
However,
we knew the devil was here because of the books.
yeah, so but when you mentioned that there are books about like the binding and that said that like that mentioned this cave in particular, Soul like kind of half glares off to the side and is like, "I never thought that information was written down. Is there? Could he have smuggled it out of here?" And he looks to the guy in the corner in the dragon mask, who kind of like half shakes his head in disbelief. Like there's a murmur going through this room in that they don't believe you about these books, and yet you guys are here. So like there's this weirdness going on where like every piece of information any logical human being would go, "Yes, those books exist because they explain why you're here, and everything you've been saying up to this point shows that that is true." And yet for some reason everyone in this room that isn't part of your party is disbelieving you.
The books were found in an orc camp where they had bound Tanaruk.
Oh,
And
and
Rook's a demon, not a devil.
Wow.
the Ibashi knows about them. That's why he came here. They're pretty.
Again, he gives you kind of a narrowed-eyed look and like there's suspicion building on his face.
Well, perhaps this will help, and John will produce one of the tomes. It's all written in Abyssal, however. I believe that this contains the knowledge that we seek.
Yeah, the Abashi stole them from us and was coming here, and we followed him.
And
Yes,
you
and
believe that these books have no corruptive influence over you? Have you warded yourself, as we have, against such things?
I've read through the books extenuously, and as my companions can mark, there has been no change in my demeanor.
Twitch now glances at you.
I'm the same as I was when I left Waterdeep. A curious young mage, trying to survive in a hostile world.
Having extensively dealt with devils, let me tell all of you, you never notice a change until the dagger is in your spine.
Well, the Tanaruk was a demon.
That is true.
I don't recall making any saving throws. Is it
Yet?
possible?
That's a player thing, but this is an NPC talking
I
to
know.
you.
Well, now you're making player knowledge be questioned. Am I really who I say I am?
Are you?
Has there
Have I
been an
been
invisible
manipulating you
change?
behind the scenes? Have I been giving you incorrect information from these books?
Who knows?
You're not warded against devilish incursion.
No.
I've been getting levels of exhaustion just to read them.
Yes, it's true. Things have been weird.
Also chasing at Awashi, but would like in character, would you know if you pass a saving throw? Like say charisma saving throw to being mind controlled? As a character?
Yeah, so if someone tried to dominate John and he passed the saving throw, would he even know?
You
or
would
if he failed the saving throw, would he even know that he was dominated?
Generally, if you fail the saving throw, no, because the part of the magic is that it interrupts the part of the consciousness that would tell you a hole or something's going on here. If you succeed the saving throw, in general, you feel a wave of magic come over you, and you need to exert force of will to repel it. And even in that need to exert force of will, you realize that something has happened. You haven't felt that, John, but there are more subtle ways it happens. Like, because what we're describing is spells like suggestion that are like trying to grasp someone's consciousness and like squeeze it. But
I mean spells. That's what I was. I meant like I don't know, possession.
Yeah, we're talking about like realms of things that like subtle possession or just full on manipulation. Like there is the possibility that the information in these books changes based on who's reading it and manipulates the reader to do what it wants. There is the possibility that these books simply don't have text in them and are just psychically influencing them, and I've been telling you incorrect information that John fully believes. There is all manner of possibilities of things that could be happening. However, the much more likely solution as a person of logic is these books have writing in them and that you've been reading them and studying them.
Oh my god.
So with that,
yeah.
when John holds out the book and flips open to a random page, is there text on the page or is it empty?
Yeah, you flip open the book, there's text on the page.
Okay.
You read a little bit of the text, and it is knowledge, like it is stuff that you've read over before previously in the book.
Yep. Okay. Now, I am not warded. I'm not in a mood to relinquish these books. However, having witnessed the ward in action, it seems to be effective.
Do you wish to be warded? Do any of you wish to be warded?
Is that something that can be done? The magic seems very intricate.
So Soul looks to the guy in the red hood, and then the guy in the mask nearby him. I am the master of blades of this place, says Sol. I do the cutting and the scarring. My friend here in the red hood heals the wound so that it stays scarred. It's a painful process, but entirely required. My friend behind me here brews the necessary inks, enchanted as they may be, and my friend in the mask is the scribe. Between all of us, we have inscribed this ritual on many a body. We know how to inscribe it. It's entirely possible we could do it to you. It would take time. You would suffer a lot.
How does that work without you actually knowing the spells that are in it?
Or the name.
How do I explain this? We've copied this set of runes more times than I know how to count. I know it inside and out. It is a shape, it is a form, it is burned into my mind. But no matter how many times I repeat a shape, that does not simply suddenly give me the knowledge to read it or understand it. I know what it does. We know how to compile it, but that does not mean we understand the enchantment. We have merely copied it over and over and over and over again.
But
Who
that's not how
casts the
magic
spell?
works.
As I peeled back the layers, there are spells that have been cast and woven together through none of the process.
Generally, that comes from my friend here, and that the guy in the red hood who has been chanting with the Tiamat symbol kind of inclines his head. The magic comes from him, which we believe comes from Tiamat, which we are actively working against, which is something I have been wrestling with for a number of years, and I still do not have an answer for, because this, and he taps again that part of his neck through his tunic. You can't see the mark, but you know he's indicating towards it. This is our first line of defense and has been for years. But the knowledge of how it was designed was lost to us before my time.
But
All we
it's not
know
working.
how to do is repeat it.
Didn't your spell thingy really say it's not really working? No, talking to John.
No, it said that it does work. It's choking and funneling power in one direction. It doesn't allow any backflow.
Right.
However, it did reveal that Soul here, and probably the rest that bear the mark, are under a constant psychic assault.
That doesn't sound fun.
But if Red Hood is the one that's casting it, then he has to actually know the name of the devil.
It's possible that the name of the devil is part of the skin grafting, the actual carving of the runes.
No, the skin grafting is the foundation. My scribe here, and he motions to a guy, the guy in the mask, who hasn't said a word this entire time, but when he's motioned to, he simply opens his mouth as wide as he can, and there is no tongue in there.
What the fuck?
What about him?
He has no
He
tongue.
is the one that inscribes the inks and the words. To my understanding of him, communication being what it is, he inscribes all of the runes that protect us after my carving foundation. They're not enchanted with magic until my friend in the red hood here chants over them for an amount of time, at which point they become magically active. But we don't understand what all of the runes mean. We just know that once all of the runes written in that exact pattern are written there and chanted over, they become magically active and serve as a protective barrier. But we can't read them. We're repeating them. We are chanting in Draconic in a way that someone might instruct someone as part of a ritual without understanding what the draconic words mean. And
Well, we read Draconic, so we could figure it out.
I was saying, if I pull out a piece of paper, could you put the runes separately, so that way it might make a paragraph, and we might be able to read it like a sentence.
Does that count as you trying to reverse the thing? Because I really don't want to fight a fucking devil today.
This shouldn't, because we're not actually interacting with the magics that are bound to their persons. We would simply be reading a page. And I'm not asking them to. So it looked like the runes were scribed over top of each other and working together in detail, and then had magics cast over them. I'm thinking, we take this rune that looks like a triangle and put it down on the paper, and then the next rune would go next to it. That way there's no connection between the runes.
That sounded like absolute gibberish to me, so no.
The guy in the mask kind of gives a half shrug, and then he reaches forward and does a little grabby hand.
What? Towards who?
Towards John. And this is the guy in the mask that has no tongue, so he's not really able to communicate exactly what he wants.
Hey, Luna, I think he just wants a pen and paper, but could you use your message spell and communicate with him?
I point at the guy.
Mm-hmm.
What the fuck you want?
He moves his lips, but no message returns to you, Luna.
Is he incapable of thinking about words?
Not entirely clear.
Okay. Well, I'll hand him a quill, an ink fountain, and some, regular mundane paper.
Yeah, and he gets like a little plank and places I'm assuming parchment, not like full paper, because that it's going to be very difficult to find in the apocalypse. But he
my volume, just some regular fucking sheets of stuff.
Yeah. So he goes sits down, and it takes him a hot second to even start. He dips the ink and hovers thinking. He starts scribing, and it takes him some serious time. And he scribes 2 separate pages, one of which there's mistakes and bits scribbled out because he's tried to do what you ask in inscribe the runes he knows in a line in a paragraph. But then on the other sheet of paper, he inscribes the mark, as in his part of the mark that he would usually do as a tattoo. And what you notice is it's a circular spiral of runes, and they don't necessarily follow a pattern of one rune to the next. Some of the runes, because they spiral, link into each other in an almost, because this rune is above this rune and below this rune, they're interacting, even if because you'd follow it right to left, they wouldn't normally interact. So written in a paragraph, it's fucking gibberish. It's just words. Written in the pattern that it's written in, it says things even if it's written up and down, left and right, side to side, and backwards in certain places. It's a meshed net of language in a way that is fucking math. It's way more complicated than can just be written down on a sheet of paper. He's done his best, and he hands it to you, but it's words and gibberish. However,
Perfect.
Make me an Arcana check. Go for that DC 25 one more time.
Can I have Luna's assistance, please?
Well, how did you know that he didn't reply to me in the first place?
I didn't. I just handed him the paper. I asked you to message him and then got out the quill and the paper because I assumed that's what he wanted in the first place.
Okay. Sure. I will assist. I don't know what I'm assisting.
John is now studying a load of runes written on a piece of paper, but this guy verbal communication he just doesn't seem to be able to do. Like, you don't know if the tongue was cut out to stop him communicating, or if the tongue was cut out because he can't communicate. But either way, make me an Arcana check with advantage, John. Thanks to Sleep. I just read Sleep because he said be right back. Thanks to Luna's assistance.
Yes, it just feels like the psychology would trump that.
Oh, wow.
Okay, double 18s. You're reading through it, and it's real weird because let's just have a look at John's character sheet. You definitely speak Infernal, right?
Oh yeah, Infernal, Sylvan, Giant, Primordial, Draconic, Common, and Abyssal.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, so 98% of these runes you understand. They don't necessarily mean stuff in the order that they're in. One of these runes isn't a symbol you recognize. Just one. And it's the rune that when he does like the pattern, it's kind of the central, like it's not central. It's in a position where it's interacting with a lot of other runes. But there's one rune that you're just like, I don't know what this one means.
Start casting, ritual casting, comprehend languages.
Okay. So in 11 minutes time, hold on. You understand the literal meaning of any spoken language that you hear. You understand any written language that you can see. You must be touching the surface. Spell doesn't decode secret message in a text or glyphs or sigils. Right, perfect. You understand this rune means Asto Soleus. But you don't know what Asto Soleus means.
But if it's a language, he understands it. No.
No.
Yeah, I understand the literal meaning.
It's not tongues.
Yeah. It's singular word, not two separate ones, but Asto Soleus.
The guy being called Soul and this being called Soleus is kind of sus. It's okay.
Anyway, that's what you get from this level of research.
Okay.
If this is taking 11 minutes, just out of curiosity, if I wander around closer to the like entrance area, does any of the guys get upset?
A little bit. The guy that's the guard, when you get close, asks you where you're going, and like most of the heads in the room turn and look.
I'm just stretching my legs, and I'll just start moving the other direction, then turn like literally just walking around randomly.
Okay. All right. So what's the party planning to do from here?
Research.
Okay. So John's sitting down to do research. What's everyone else doing?
We're locked into this room, so
I guess it's just take a rest while John's doing his research because we're all still pretty beat up.
Mm-hmm.
We aren't locked. I mean, Krok left.
Yeah, Krog did indeed leave. But that's the thing. The guard didn't try and stop you, Al. He just asked where you were going.
yeah, but I'm trying to go somewhere they're not gonna let me, so I'll thought they know.
Okay. Is Krog trying to get any further information from Cookie and the lumberjack?
They are attempting to, yeah. They're just So obviously, like Cookie and the lumberjack, and presumably a lot of the other orcs haven't seen the shaman in years.
Mhm.
But Krakow asked, like, did the war chief meet with the shaman ever? Like, did he go into the cave? Was he one of the ones that like was allowed in the cave?
The impression they give you is if, like, it was assumed that he did, but if so, no one was particularly chatty about it.
Okay. And just sort of like Kruk is just going to bluntly ask, like, if the shaman was killed, but they continued to continue to receive the benefits that they did, and were able to live, like, continue to live here doing what they were doing, like, would they be willing to keep it going with the like would they be willing to just let the status quo be status?
So you get the impression, talking to both Cookie and the lumberjack, that neither of them are angling to be war chief, and that's the leader of the warband's decision. That's above their pay grade. So it's really not a, oh, would you be willing to go along with it? It's not really down to me. You know, I follow the lead guy. This is my tribe. We do what the tribe needs. If they decide that's what we need to do, yes. If they decide otherwise, no.
Okay. I don't know what else. Like they don't seem to know an awful lot.
Unfortunately not, no.
Um
The person that probably would have known the most is the previous war chief, and unfortunately he exploded.
yeah, he blew himself up.
We have like speak to corpses or whatever that cleric spell is.
I do
Or
have
druid spell?
I have speak with dead. I don't think his skull survived. I'll go look for it. I'll go look for his skull.
Okay.
Does the skull need to be intact? I'm not familiar with the spell.
Yeah, I believe so. The corpse must still have a mouth, and it can't be undead.
Yeah, a very quick cursory look over the area. There's not even bits of the war chief around. Like, the thing he did to himself made him in whole explode.
Yeah.
Which means the bits of him that you are looking for also exploded.
Indeed, that's what I assumed. In that case, I'm gonna sit down near the orc and ritually, the warg, and ritually cast Speak with Animals.
Okay. That'll take you a hot minute, but entirely doable.
Yeah.
So let me just double check something. Fair enough. All right. So you cast Speak with Animals and start making sounds at this creature. Unfortunately, it's not category based. So it listens to you, but it does not respond.
Right.
You're unable to carry a conversation with this creature.
Yeah,
Silly monstrosities.
That makes sense. Sure. Yep. Yeah, that's valid.
So, here's a weird. What languages do you speak, Croc?
I speak Common, Druidic, Sylvan, Orcish, and that's it.
Okay. Because it does attempt to communicate with you in a language. It speaks to you.
Uh-huh.
But it's not a language you understand.
Oh. Oh. I guess we just make noise at one another.
Mm-hmm. It's not a very fruitful discussion.
No. Okay. Yeah, I don't really have much else that I can do. So, I'll thank Cookie and the Lumberjack for their time.
Right, so.
I'll ask them if they have any thoughts on who the next war chief is going to be. Like, do they have any big contenders?
They have a small discussion about it in that, like, most of the warband, like the fighting orcs, have kind of got themselves killed or AWOL at the moment. So there's really not much discussion about it, but there's a lot of arguing about it. So it's one of those things where it comes down to, it almost sounds like a betting office when you ask that question. Like, everyone has thrown their fucking hat into the ring that can swing an axe. Even the lumberjack is like, well, I'm pretty sure, like, with our numbers thinned this much, I'm in shot of becoming war chief. But, you know.
The other thing that Croc will ask him is just kind of on that ground, is like, war chief as, like, the title of the leader.
Well, chieftain. I keep calling it war chief because I've played too much World of Warcraft.
Yeah, it's a chieftain, like the chief is like the leader of the tribe.
Yes.
There's nothing to say that it has to be an orc.
That's one of those things where technically no. Technically no.
Yeah, if something was big enough and strong enough and came along and beat all the others and, like, offered, like, you are mine now, sort of thing. Like, I take you under my protection and we make, like, tribe.
Even still, the impression you get back from the two of these is, if something came along and did that, the orcs would still try and organize and elect a head orc that had to follow whatever that thing was. So even if something came along and is like, I own you all now, they would still end up electing a war chief because that's their kind of structure, as like the guy that defers to that guy.
Okay. And Krog will say, Krog will be like, so is that kind of what's been happening with, like, the shaman is, like, the most powerful, but the war chief was, like, still the chief?
It almost seems like it. It almost seems like, maybe even subconsciously, that the tribe has just decided that that guy's not orc enough anymore, and have organized around that.
So here's a question for you. What if I got rid of the shaman and took his place, and you guys elected a war chief, and we just smoothed things back out?
You get a shrug from both of them. You very much get the impression that, as long as it doesn't kill the tribe, they don't give a shit what happens outside of that. Like, neither of them want to become the shaman, so they couldn't give a tuppenny fuck who the shaman was.
Or the chief was.
Oh, they care who the chief was, because the lumberjack wants to throw his lot in as the chief. Like, they care who the chief is. They don't care about anything outside that power structure. It's a very, like, one-track mind kind of logic coming from at least the lumberjack. Cookie, he seems to be out of the race in general, but he at least cares if the war chief has his like a cool head on his shoulders.
Gotcha. Okay. That is good knowledge. And let me just have a quick look at this. That doesn't help. Hang on. Apologies.
And it's been long enough now that anyone in the cave that is taking a short rest can have absolutely done so.
Okay, so fine. I will. Or Croc will. Yeah, so Croc will just sort of, like, be like, that's good information, good to know. I'll take it all into consideration. The tribe's main concern is just with surviving, eh?
Always.
Cool. Hey then. I'll probably be back, but for the moment, I've got some more things to chase up. So, cheers.
They just kind of nod to you and continue having a conversation.
And Crack gets up, starts walking away from them, and just like more for the lumberjack's benefit because Kirky can't see, just full on like becomes the massive like viney panther again.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of twists and turns that bone skull onto the lumberjack. And kind of like stares those like golden eyes at the lumberjack, just to be like, "Oh yeah, I wasn't kidding."
He like just kind of pauses and stares mid conversation. You can see he grips like the lumberjack axe in his hands, like real tense. He doesn't get up or charge at you, but like he takes that as a challenge. And there's no real sense of like fear on this guy. It's just like are we doing this? Are you about to turn into a giant cat and attack me, or?
No, like so Krug definitely did it with like their back was to him.
Yeah, but
when they transformed.
This is a fairly big orc. Like adrenaline just goes through him when he sees that, and he's just ready. But he doesn't do anything or move towards you. He's just like, you can tell he's set and ready for a fight if one breaks out.
Yeah, and then Krug just does like that big cat thing where like they walk away. And then after a little bit, they start to pick up speed, start running, and they just climb the cliffside wall to get back up to where Vren is.
Okay, fair enough. So
when they get to the top, they drop the panther form and head over to Vren.
Yep. While that's happening, what is John and the rest of the party doing inside the cave? Are you guys is John researching and everyone else is kind of waiting for him, or?